Alert, alert. This episode was pre-recorded, but this is emergency announcement and plug. 4/13, I'll be at the Alley Cat in Iowa City at 9 p.m. But first, rest in peace to Val Kilmer. It's rumored that he watched our episode of Heat and said, "My life is now complete." That's right. He died the day after we released our Heat episode. It's like we're in a simulation or a movie. And with that, here's our episode. What's up, Twitter world? I'm back, baby. Do you think O.J. Simpson saw the Truman Show? Welcome to the Austin Ingels Show. The Austin Ingels movie show. Sorry. We're fucking up already. I am your host, Austin Ingels, and this is produced by Radu.
What's going on, y'all?
We are so back. This is, I'm just going to say it up top, this is pre-recorded, so if there's any fucking news that we don't talk about or, like, you know, a disaster happens by chance, sorry.
Just know we would have talked about it.
We would have addressed it. I would have probably talked about it in the current event joke. But that's here nor there. All I want you to do is go like and subscribe this. I remember to do that up top. Fuck yeah, baby. This is an exciting episode, but first, housekeeping. Every Thursday and Sunday, catch me at the Speakeasy in Austin, Texas at 8 p.m. And every Friday at Crazy Conches at 7:30. And we're trying for the Saturday show, folks. They're just trying to feed other people events, even though we bring the money in. I said it. I did it. Current event joke. JFK files were released. Conspiracy theorists are going crazy. Conspiracy theorists are a lot like girlfriends. They find out about one lie, you'll never hear the end. Yeah, I could use that in my act, right? No. R.I.P. to JFK. That is the big three for me for conspiracy theories is JFK, 9/11, and then Columbine. Radu's holding up a picture here. That's the clip. I hope you guys enjoyed JD on the last two episodes. We really enjoyed having him on here. We couldn't have him on this week or probably next week's, but that's okay. He will be back. We will have him back for The Social Network. But before we begin, the latest movie I've seen in theaters, it's still The Monkey. I haven't gone to the movie theaters in like 3 weeks, but The Woman in the Yard is coming out. That looks great. There's a Michael B. Jordan movie called Sinners coming out. That looks good. New horror movie. So, yeah. You're going to be scared. If you want to come with, I'll hold your hand.
Horror, you promise?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think I'd be down to go check out a movie live in the theater.
If I held your hand?
Just be there for me.
All right.
Just knowing you would is enough.
Yeah, dude. I'm a good guy like that. But we're not talking about Sinners. We're not talking about The Woman in the Yard. We are talking about 1998's The Truman Show. The summary of this movie. He doesn't know it, but everything in Truman Burbank's, Jim Carrey's life is part of a massive TV set. Executive producer Christoph, played by Ed Harris, orchestrates The Truman Show, a live broadcast of Truman's every move captured by hidden cameras. Pardon me. Christoph tries to control Truman's mind, even removing his true love, Sylvia, from the show and replacing her with Meryl. As Truman gradually discovers the truth, however, he must decide whether to act on it. I feel like that's the weakest summary we've had. I feel like they could have went way deeper than that, but what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like the movie is literally so much more.
So much more than that.
So
Usually
much more.
Literally every summary that I've done up until this point, I feel like goes overboard, but that one was just underwhelming. Impact of this movie. This was Jim Carrey's first step into drama. The Truman Show has been analyzed as an exploration of simulated reality, existentialism, surveillance, metaphilosophy. I don't know if you get into that or not. Privacy and reality television. This movie shaped how 24/7 streaming would look like today.
Damn. Yeah, that's the truth.
We're gonna talk about it a lot more later, but yeah, this movie was miles ahead of its time, truly. And where I was when I first watched this. This movie came out in 98. Like I said, I would have been 5 when this movie came out. But I didn't watch this movie until I had to go back and think. It was either 2004 or 2005. I had skipped school that day, and I remember watching it on Stars. The network Stars has gotten a lot of shout-outs on this show because that was the movie channel that we were subscribed to for Mediacom.
I had HBO growing up. We had HBO.
I wish we had HBO, but we would sometimes get like free trials of it or like Showtime, and I always went crazy with those. Just the movies on there were always top-notch.
Yeah, so I think the first time I watched the movie was, I think a girl showed me the movie.
A girl did, huh?
A girl did,
yeah. I remember always, I think I've watched this, definitely not on the level of Scream, but I have for sure watched this with at least 3 girlfriends, this movie.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good girlfriend recommendation watch.
Yeah, because usually women love, oh, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of women love Jim Carrey, so like you are always... If you're like, oh, you like Jim Carrey, have you seen him in The Truman Show where he doesn't do funny shit the whole movie?
I think I had probably just watched Bruce Almighty that same year.
Oh, wow. That's a good one, too.
I feel like that happened. I feel like I watched Bruce Almighty, and then my friend was like, have you not seen The Truman Show? I'm like, what's The Truman Show? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that
this friend was a girl?
Yeah, this friend was, just a friend.
Okay.
And,
you say he's just a friend.
Nah, it was just a friend. And then she also showed me Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's when I started seeing like those kinds of movies, and yeah,
that movie is a mind fuck. I'll for sure do that one. But that one's. I might have to wait till I get my heart broken again to do that one. That one's a
great
roller
one.
Coaster, especially if you watch that movie fresh out of a relationship, which I tend to do. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, dude, that's a crazy one. But yeah, dude. I watched this movie when I was probably 10 or 11, and yeah, well, I was obsessed with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey and Will Smith were my guys when I was like,
Those are like your uncles?
They were, I guess, yeah. They were my 2 favorite actors when I was, when my conscience had formed and I could sit down and watch a full movie. Those are my 2 guys.
I don't even know when that was for me. I can't even think about...
Mine was like 97, 98, because I remember my parents watching Scream 2 when it had freshly came out, and I was like sneaking around the corner. I remember him getting stabbed through the bathroom stall in Scream 2.
What a stereotypical... Like, that you couldn't write that. That sounds like what a stereotypical, like... this is my favorite movie because I watched it as a kid, like, sneakily. That's literally...
I remember a lot of movies that I sneakily watched, and yeah... that was for sure one of them. And, yeah, I just Ace Ventura, The Mask. Yeah, we'll talk about Jim Carrey later. We have a whole section on that, yeah. God damn, that coffee's coming back. I see those Tums over there. Might have to pop one. Rotten Tomatoes. 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience score 89. Crazy. Last week we had an opposite effect. I think it's 94. I think Rotten Tomatoes actually got this one right for once. Okay, here we go, folks. Some lores or legends of The Truman Show. This was a dangerous film to make because it couldn't happen. How ironic. That is director Peter Weir on The Truman Show predicting the rise of reality television.
I mean, it was also very... It reminds me of Black Mirror, like just any Black Mirror episode. Mm-hmm. It's like the dystopian kind of freakish.
Yeah, I mean, Black Mirror. This influenced Black Mirror.
That makes sense.
Yeah, do I have what this influenced? I don't know if I did, but yeah, this. Oh, I do have that later, but it's not a movie or anything. It's gonna be a surprise, actually. What it influenced? Yeah, you're gonna be like, what? Yeah, The Truman Show. What else? I'm going to preview my notes. Sorry, guys. I did this. This was a surprise episode. Radu didn't know that I just texted him with this because we planned on doing 30 minutes or less, but that will be next week's episode. But, yeah, I surprised him with this one. I surprised myself. I watched this on Hulu. You can go watch this now. This is streaming on Hulu. I feel like we should do that for movies from now on.
Yeah.
Be like, where it's available at. if at all, it being available. Most of them are all available on Amazon to rent, but but if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch this movie right now. Free plug for Hulu. Let's see where I'm at. In the decades since its release, the film's exploration of surveillance and manufactured reality has been described as present. I guess that word is, like, that's not how that word's spelled, but in 2008, Popular Mechanics named The Truman Show as one of the 10 most prophetic science fiction films. In 2023, AMC chronicled the modern societal developments that were predicted in The Truman Show. That's pretty sweet. With writer Anthony Frauman noting it foretold the rise of reality TV, mass surveillance, social media. What just happened? Oh, that scared me. Influencer marketing and our increasing obsession with celebrity. That was ironic that just happened. I thought that all of our power went out. See, I was obsessed with social media while I was talking about it. Along with the 24-hour news cycle, product placement, parasocial relationships, and the merging of entertainment and news.
Yeah, man, I just remember watching it and feeling like, what if my life was? It made me feel like main character syndrome was like a valid thing.
That's a perfect segue into what I'm about to say. This whole main character syndrome, that had a name before main character syndrome, and that was called the Truman Show delusion.
Yo, that's actually freaking wild.
Yeah. Before we get to the Truman Show delusion, I do want to talk about what I just said, the last statement, the 24-hour news cycle, product placement, surveillance. We're going to do another movie from 1998 that dives into this, Enemy of the State. Have you seen that one with Will Smith and Gene Hackman?
No, I haven't, but I'd watch anything Will Smith, no question.
It's one of Will Smith's best movies. But yeah, it's weird that these two movies came out in the same year. Another movie similar came out to this called Ed TV with Matthew McConaughey, where people were just fascinated with being under surveillance 24/7 and how the human mind and body would react to being recorded all the time. And this was the start to it all. And that leads us to the Truman Show delusion. Joel Gold, a psychiatrist at the Bellevue Hospital Center, revealed that by 2008 he had met 5 patients with schizophrenia and had heard of another 12 who believed their lives were reality television shows. He named this the Truman Show delusion after the film had attributed the delusion to the world that had become hungry for publicity. Gold stated that some patients were rendered happy by their disease, while others were tormented. One traveled to New York to check whether the World Trade Center had fallen, believing the 9/11 attacks were an elaborate plot twist in his personal storyline.
I feel like we meet those people every day out here.
Yeah, hold on. This brings you to the are we in a simulation? Whose simulation are we in? I mean, when you watch this movie, especially now, it brings you to an existential crisis if you're into that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I definitely believe you guys are in my simulation.
You have main character syndrome.
It's crazy, and I truly believe that.
Yeah. Are you? You're not an only child, though, so
no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But who knows? I didn't watch my sisters be born. That
is the craziest main character thing I've ever heard in my life. Another went to New York to climb the Statue of Liberty, believing that he would be reunited with his high school girlfriend at the top, and finally be released from the show, like Truman at the end. Yeah. Another patient had worked as an intern on a reality TV program and believed that he was secretly being tracked by cameras. Even at the polls on Election Day in 2004, he shouted that President George W. Bush was a Judas, which brought him to the hospital and that psychiatrist's attention. It's crazy, right? That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this movie alone, was just talk about the Truman delusion. because I remember hearing about this. Like, I was always, I guess by the time this movie had came out, the internet was kind of starting to take off a little bit. Well, it had already been. So like anything after 2007 that I saw, I would always get on the family computer. Yep, we had a family computer, and I'd always get on the Wikipedia page. And this was one of my first Wikipedia searches, was this movie, and just the Truman Show delusion and the fascination with that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. That's you seem to have been a very explorative child.
Oh,
you're just like, oh, I mean, I guess.
I've always had ADHD, and like when I'd sit in class, I'd just always be wondering. I've always had ADHD and always been a bit of a neurotic kid, if you will. I love books, so I guess my imagination has just been always running rampant. What?
I feel like. So you don't feel like did you ever feel like you have been followed by cameras or something? Was like, you ever feel like you were on punked or some shit?
I think everyone after they watch this movie has that thought in their head. If they don't, I think they're lying or they're just dumb. They just don't have, there's also people who can just lie their head down on a pillow and fall asleep like that and have zero thoughts about the day or internal thoughts. And I'm not jealous of them, because that's when my best writing happens at night. You know what I mean? When I go to bed or when I lay down, just because I'm always thinking. Maybe that's a gift and a curse, but yeah, dude, this movie has always just the fact that this movie was made in 98, and I told you, we said that before the show. We always put in the year. Obviously, you see it in the title. And Radu was like, "What? This movie was 98? When did you think it was?"
I thought it was like maybe a little bit before Anchorman. Maybe like I was like maybe a 2000, maybe pre 9/11.
Okay, so yeah, you weren't far off, but
I guess I guess that's still pretty close to 9/11.
Yeah. What a world. Yeah, he goes to buy a plane ticket, and there's a fucking foreshadowing what's happening today. All these planes going down and shit. There's the lightning strike in the plane.
Everything is just gonna happen eventually. I guess that's just, I don't know.
Whoa.
I think everything just happens eventually.
Well, yeah, we all die, If we're gonna get
this
crazy.
movie really makes you just like think, huh? When you start
think about life. We both just smoked before this, folks. So if this sounds like stoner talk, that's exactly why. Yeah, dude. It even the like the beginning when it's showing his life, and it kind of does the whole predisposition of what we're about to watch. It's just like, man, is that what my life has been like? Are you gonna expound on that?
I mean, I just sometimes like I'll watch my Snapchat story, like it'll be like a Snapchat memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have like the same shirt on a year ago today, or like 3 years ago I wore the same shirt. First of all, yeah, sometimes I keep the same shirt for that long.
Here's what's something that always I feel like is a simulation. I have this written down somewhere. Yeah, I don't want to jump into that now, but I guess I will. You know what I mean? No,
my bad.
No, I agree. Like, I think this is what you were getting at. Like, I'll be in a Chipotle eating Chipotle, and I'll be listening to a podcast, and they'll bring up Chipotle. You know what I mean? Or like in a song, they'll say something about a cop, and I'll pass a cop. Or like, you know what I mean? Just something simple like that.
Yeah, it's like more than coincidence. Yeah, synchronicity.
Yeah, with the universe, synchronicity.
Yeah, shit's weird, man.
Yeah, but it makes you think. Yeah, are we in a simulation? And just like how shit's happening these days with I don't want to get into the news and everything, but like the way with Trump and the election and the way everyone's acting is like, is the world ending? I don't know. Like,
I don't think the world's ending, but I did hear that he is trying to go for a third term in a legal way. Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Like, what timeline are we in? This motherfucker was on The Apprentice. Like,
Frederick D. Roosevelt did the same thing. Not to get all whatever.
FDR?
Yeah, FDR did the same thing, I think.
Yeah, I think he was a little more admirable, or like, also was a war hero. Not to shit on Trump or anything. I don't give a fuck either way, but yeah. Oh, yeah. Just the reality TV world that we live in today was all it's Jim Carrey took that. I should have fucking.
I mean, dude, I feel like that's the Austin, moving to Austin, Texas, where like everything is like happening, and there's so many shows, and there's events, and there's people coming in and out of town constantly, and the hotels are filling up every weekend. There's like just all these things. It feels like, I mean, there's a bigger mechanism going on where there's some things are kind of predetermined. Like there's gonna be people in town, we don't know who, but there's these bigger things happening. I don't know, like societal macro movements of shit, and like when you start thinking about it, bro.
Well, I guess if like you're from like a small town like me and you move to a city, it just makes you realize the scope. That like this movie makes you realize that it puts you into your perspective of life. You know, the scope. Like if you move to a city, it's a whole different life than a small town, and it just makes you realize that wow. People back home think that, you know, oh, I've had a bad day. This is affecting the whole world. No one in Texas knows what someone in small town Illinois is doing or has any idea what their day-to-day life is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's. I mean, there's a word for it.
And we probably sound so fucking stupid, and I'm sorry.
No. There's a word for it in the. There's like a dictionary of made up words. It's called sonder. It's when you realize that everyone's life around you is as complex as your own.
It's called sonder?
Yeah, sonder is the word. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Sorry, folks, that we just did that. But yeah, this movie's fascinating in human psychology and the mind and the way we act. I don't know what the test was called, but they did a test. Sorry. God, I shouldn't have fucking smoked before this. They did a test where they had people sit in front of a camera, or they had people, you know, that weren't in front of a camera, and they do a human test to where people act differently when they're being recorded. Like it's a thing. If you know you're being recorded, you're gonna act differently.
Like I can freestyle, I swear to God, if I'm by myself in my car and I put on a beat, but if the moment I turn my camera on, dude, and I try to record the freestyle, it sounds like shit.
Well, think about it. Anytime you go to like record a video of yourself or like normal people don't do this probably, but like if I'm doing promotion, it's rarely on the first take that I get it. You know what I mean? Like I have a vision in my head of what it's going to be, and it never comes out that way. But you know, that's part of being an artist.
Exactly. That is the art form.
God, that was a fucking. I'm sorry, folks, if that didn't make any sense. I feel like it did.
I think it's made perfect sense.
I just feel like it was solid. Reboot proof. I think it is. I think because we live in it. You know what I mean? Our lives are the Truman Show, so I think this is reboot proof. But I don't know.
I think they've done like the similar motifs. The motifs
they've done
there.
Inspirations of it. Yeah, like you said, this is pretty much Black Mirror.
Yeah, it was like just ahead of its time.
Yeah,
so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Also, girls love this movie. I'm just gonna remind everyone that.
Do they?
Yeah, I feel like chicks love this movie. I think Jim Carrey is just such a great guy.
Well, I think we can all relate to the one that got away aspect of it. Everyone has that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Everything reminds me of her.
And I think girls can relate to that because I'm sure a lot of girls settle. You know what I mean? I don't mean to, not just girls. Everyone settles. If you're not chasing your dream, I guess, and you didn't want to have a wife and a child and you end up having that, I feel like that's settling. But also, if you wanted to have a family and kids, that's not settling. That was your life. God, I'm
fire.
I'm so fucking stupid. This likes for the movie. I love the town. I love the setting. This is a real town in Florida. It's called Seaside in Florida.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was one of the first towns that were like, it says purposely built. You know what I mean? To where the intersections in and out, whatever. Jim Carrey in his run. 1994, Jim Carrey came out with Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, and The Mask, and then went on a crazy movie run that probably went until 2004, you could call it. But yeah, that run that he had, he was in Batman Forever in 95. He did The Cable Guy in 96, Liar Liar 97. this in '98. I think Man on the Moon was also this year, or it might have been the year after that. But yeah, his run, it's unreal. He was one of the first movie stars to make $10 million for a movie role. He absolutely is a case of manifesting, because he wrote himself a check for whatever $1 million or $10 million, and then ended up cashing it later. So
Can we talk about how
the
good he
power
is
of
at interviews?
manifestation.
He is so good at interviews.
Yeah, if you get him when he's not being crazy or being manic.
I think some of those are some of the best.
Yeah.
He's. Do you look at Jim Carrey also outside of the movie? Like, do you think all these roles affected him?
Well, I thought I wrote this down, but the director in particular, this was like a collaboration. This was how Jim Carrey felt in his life at this point. Like I said, because up until this, he was the biggest movie star probably, from that 4-year run that he had. At least he was at least a top comedic actor, easily, hands down.
Oh well, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So yeah, he felt like his life was a show, so a collaborative effort, if you will. And I think the ending of this movie is beautiful. It's perfect. Also, I think Sylvia is perfect. I should have got that. I do have that actress's name. It is Natasha McElhone. I don't know. I can't read names for fuck. But yeah, she hasn't been in shit. That should be a dislike. But yeah, Peter Ware, the director, wrote a 10-page backstory that described the history of the show. For instance, the Truman Show was a frequent winner at the Emmys. Makes you wonder, if this were real, what TV shows would be popular compared. Like, would this dust Friends? You know what I mean? Like, would Seinfeld be a thing if the Truman Show was going on? For real, the Real World probably wouldn't be a show. You know what I mean? The Real World was coming out around this time.
Okay, so there was a guy who was in Japan who
story,
was a very similar situation. I think this actually happened.
It was
in Japan.
a game show, though.
Yeah, it was a game show.
Yeah,
and he was like being
There's
reported for a year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is that documentary called?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, it's not like we don't have a fucking computer with us. Japanese game show documentary. Nasubi, yeah. What show is he on?
Susunu Denpa Shonen, a Japanese reality TV show on Nippon television. After winning a lottery for a show business-related job, he was challenged to enter a mail-in sweepstakes. He won $1 million. Dude, they just trolled him for a year.
Yeah, he survived on competition winnings, like from magazines and everything. So like he had to. Yeah, that was a crazy documentary. That was very Truman Show-esque.
For people's entertainment, dude. That's crazy. That was real.
They do crazy shit over there. Dislikes. He settled for Myrtle and the name Myrtle. I hate that. I hate her name. That actress is great, though. She is very beautiful. But, like, yeah, you can tell. I love the whole part where she does the ad, and he looks around. He's like, "What? Who is that for? What are you doing?" That would drive you, dude. That would drive you mad, right? Like if you're in a fight with your wife and she does a fucking TV ad for product placement, like, oh,
who is that for?
Yeah, he's looking around. He's like, "What was that?" Like, oh man. Yeah, dude. If someone had schizophrenia and saw this movie, I can see how it would absolutely rock your world. I could be schizophrenic in it. Or I might be schizophrenic. I don't know, dude.
I mean, sometimes I interact with people and, like, we'll do crazy shit. And I feel like I give them a Truman Show experience, like, that makes them question their reality. Like, I'll go to the gas station and I'll just buy, like, 28 packs of gum. Or the last time I went there, I bought 26 Snicker bars just because they were $1 each. And I just wanted to see how the cashier would react.
That is fucking awesome. Yeah, dude, after being in comedy, that was nice. That landed perfectly in my hand. That was fucking crazy. I'm going to keep that. Yeah, after being in comedy and moving to Austin and working on 6th Street, I'm so desensitized to things that blew my mind. Like we were talking about, like, If I told someone from a small town in Galvo, where I'm from, that I watched a homeless man take a shit and right in front of me, like, 30 yards away from me, or that I saw a dead body and cops just, act like the body was a burrito and roll it up and throw it in the back of a car, like, that would blow, like, you couldn't comprehend that. You know what I mean? Like, just shit like that. Am I Truman? Dislikes, yeah, I said that, Myrtle. One of my dislikes was Ed Harris was nominated for an Oscar and Jim Carrey wasn't. Ed Harris was the guy, the guy. Yeah, that is a travesty. I think Jim Carrey won a Golden Globe for this, but yeah, I looked at the Oscars that year, and Jim Carrey absolutely could have been in the Oscars. God, dude, this movie is insane. 7 fun facts from IMDb. Jim Carrey has stated that being constantly watched by fans and paparazzi helped him relate to Truman. Eminem stated that this movie inspired the Eminem Show because, like Jim Carrey, he felt like his show or his life was a show. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, but man, isn't that just so on brand? It's just so on brand for you to bring up.
Yeah.
Biggest Eminem fan I've ever met.
Ed Harris and Jim Carrey, thank you. Ed Harris and Jim Carrey never met during filming.
I love hearing stuff like that as a production guy, just because, like, that's really the movie magic, dude.
That's perfect for it. Yeah. Well, like,
and for this movie in particular, because of how the theme is, you're literally someone's in control.
I talked about Scream a lot. We're gonna do Scream 3 eventually. But they have the guy who does the ghost face, who makes the calls. They never, in the first one at least, they never had him meet the actors and actresses. So every time they talked to him, it was like a genuine reaction. I mean, just like movie magic like that. That's perfect. You gotta, for shit to come across, I feel like you have to do things like that. And when it's forced and manufactured, it's when you can tell.
Well, like the cafe scene from Heat that I watched since the
that
last
you've
week.
Since watched. Perfect. Yeah. You fuck. People on set were forbidden from uttering phrases from Jim Carrey's past silly movies. Alrighty then. Can you imagine seeing him after that 4-year run and not being able to quote anything in front of him? I feel like that's a fucking act of torture itself.
Was that when the mask was already done?
Yeah, bro. The Mask was made in '94.
I've just been introduced to the Mask recently.
What?
Dude, I didn't.
Cameron Diaz in that, am I right?
Didn't realize how good that movie is.
It's a great movie.
I for some reason also, I don't know if I bring this up now, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't know. It gives me that same like movie vibe.
Yeah.
That whole era of
it's
goofy, wacky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Probably the same cinematographer, but I don't want to make that. But the cinematography looks very similar in those movies. When Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert reviewed the film on Siskel and Ebert, they not only gave the film 2 thumbs up, they gave an on-air apology to Jim Carrey for saying that he would never have a career when they panned Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Yeah, as you fucking should, idiots. You not liking Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Are you kidding me? Rest in piss. You. Sorry, go ahead.
Nah, I feel like those, like we were talking about a couple pods back, movies that were just quotable, and like Jim Carrey produced those movies. We're just talking about like not being able to quote the movies in front of him would be torture. Like this was before memes. Like this was like.
Yeah, this was like
this is
these
one of
movies were your memes. This is all you had. Good call, dude. Good call. Yeah, and like I said, this was pre-recorded, so if Jim Carrey has done something crazy, we're sorry that we didn't address it in this in this episode. It's bound to happen. Let's see. A scene in the original script. Oh, you ready for this one? Are you ready? Yeah. This will excite you. A scene in the original script depicts a staged rape scene witnessed by Truman, who doesn't go to help the actress about to be violated and just moves on. When he's gone, the actors and actress return to normal and express wonder at how he didn't try to help or even do anything about it. That is fucking crazy. I wonder if that's actually true.
That, they should have fleshed that scene out a little more. feel like if they developed it a little bit, it didn't make it in the movie, right?
No, that's
No.
not in the movie.
Yeah, it's not in the movie. I feel like if they just
That's
developed
not
it
even
a little
deleted
bit.
scene.
Not even in the deleted scenes?
Yeah. You think so?
I think it exists.
In a PG-13 movie, is this is probably PG. Check if this is PG. This might be PG. Let's see. Where does it say? Go to fucking. Just look it up. Sorry, folks. Yeah, this is PG. I knew it, dude. Yeah, this is a PG movie.
Dude.
How would they have... that would have instantly made it PG-13, obviously. But, yeah, dude, that's wild. Yeah, dude, we definitely need to start putting where to watch the movies. Don't you think, as a topic? I mean, when you search the movies, it's what pops up, but it would be nice. Yeah, I think I already said that. Yeah, well, Hulu and Disney are together now. In an early scene, a bottle of vitamin D is on Truman and Meryl's kitchen table, needed for those without exposure to the real sun, because obviously they're in a huge set.
Those little details.
Little details, baby.
Those little details, man.
Yeah, dude, he would be, if this were real, he would be fucked. He would be depressed all the time. Right? Because you're not getting real sun.
I mean, I think I've been outside for all of 22 seconds today.
I know, but you have gone outside in the last week and experienced sun. And last week, when it rained all fucking week, I was depressed at work. I was like, wow, my weekend was ruined because it rained the entire weekend.
You know, on that topic, if you guys are made it this far in the podcast, comment your favorite kind of weather. Just in the comments. Leave us a comment on your favorite weather. Favorite movie weather. What kind of weather is this?
You know what made me... You know what? This is fun. We were talking about moving and realities. When I got down to Texas, the sky has never been so blue to me since I was a child. Yeah. And obviously, you know, we're closer to the equator.
Dude, yeah, it's a long drive to where you're from.
15 hours.
Man, I couldn't imagine. I only moved 4 hours away.
Yeah.
And, like, to the left.
Oh, yeah. When I go to 4 hours, I'm like, oh, sweet. I am a third of the way through my drive. Or no, a quarter of the way through my drive. Sorry for that terrible math.
You know what's going to be cool? On episode, like, 20, when we're on episode 20, you'll be able to listen to all our podcasts in a row and get home on one drive.
That is crazy. That is nuts to think about. Hopefully we're back up on Apple by then. Sorry, folks that are... Sorry that if this issue hasn't been resolved, we have an issue with Apple. So that is why you're...
And I paid for that. I'm a member.
Yeah, so also comment if you are a tech guy and can help us out with that, because we're trying to figure out what the F is going on. That's right. We're doing a PG movie. Maybe I should have been PG this whole time. As we're looking at it right now, we're in a simulation. The iconic poster, a rendition of Jim Carrey's face compromising hundreds of individual images, was created by artist Rob Silverman at a rumored cost of $75,000.
That's a bunch of individual.
That's the top right one where he's smiling.
Oh, it's a little mosaic thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep. God, I fucking love Jim Carrey, dude.
He kind of looks like Leo in this photo.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Chill on that.
I know.
Okay. Radu, we are on our last topic. We're about right around 40 minutes, I think. What do you have anything else that you want to talk about on this?
I mean, no, I feel like we really hit all the philosophical, not all of them. No way.
Yeah, I feel like that was...
No way to all of them.
I hope that wasn't as rambled as I thought it was in my head. I feel like we made some sense in it.
I feel like that this is a clippable podcast, not a stream of consciousness. This was a stream of consciousness.
It was trying to be a stream of conscience, and normally I don't smoke right before the podcast, so sorry, folks. If those sounded like ramblings, I apologize. Okay? Everyone knows what? Everyone knows that I'm vibey. Is this a cult classic? Neither or both. Classic.
For sure, classic. What makes something a cult classic? Explain one time for the viewers at home.
What makes it a cult classic?
Yeah.
See, that's where we get into. That's where I kind of fuck myself in this, because If it's a cult classic, does that make it a classic? You know what I mean? Fuck. But we're not going to get into those movies a lot, hopefully. Hopefully we don't have to decipher those. But I think this is one of the most important movies of all time. I'll say that on wax, on record.
Wow, yeah. I think it defines a definite era of like recognizing movies as good movies too.
Well, this was an era before an era. And this was like the right before we fucking got into all the technology. This was what people were thinking it would look like, and man, did Peter Weir nail it. That's a fucking tongue twister. Peter Weir nail. Yeah, this was a classic, folks. And yeah, like I said earlier, I think anytime after first viewing, you question reality after this movie, and I think that's what great art is. If you're not affected by a movie, if you're just like, oh, that was kind of a waste of time, then that's not good art. But this movie is the opposite of that. This movie makes you think. This movie makes you question yourself, makes you question the world around you. And God damn it, in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.